How to complete the initial proposal slide. You can see at the bottom, highlighted in yellow, are the places where you're going to make it really clear to us up front. This is what you want to spend the money on. You have up to 20 million on what and in what community. I'm going to walk you through some of the ideas and examples that are up here in this top corner. So what I've created is a list of like, what have people done, right? So what are some real ideas? So to begin with here, there's nothing to do on this page, but to think about and listen to, how do people explain their projects? What are ideas that have worked? How are people trying to improve their communities? And how do they pitch their ideas? In the slideshow, you're going to have to be specific about what you're trying to do and what you see as being the difference that's going to happen once your project's put into place. And you have to have a vision, right? So if my project works, this is what 53206 will look like. Okay. And so this very first page is a bunch of podcast links. So like the Young Enterprising Society is a team, a guy that played basketball and now he's a rapper and he brings STEM programs and education to students, right? So if you want to listen to that one or look him up, that's a great way to get started if you're stuck, right? I also wanted to share with you a couple other projects. So one is Next Haven, right? So if you remember the artist Titus Kaphar that we looked at in social studies, this is the project that he has created. It's an arts incubator, right? So it brings artists into New Haven, Connecticut, which is a pretty high poverty neighborhood, brings them in, gets them started, creates the arts, that brings other people in. It's just a really cool story that you can look around with. Closer to home, the Sherman Phoenix is a small business incubator, right? Where people can launch their businesses, and it's going to bring people into the Sherman Park neighborhood where there was some unrest a few years ago. So that's a place to look around. I also wanted to share with you that at the bottom of this page, these are all the projects that people completed last year. Now, they had a lot more class time. They had a lot more one-on-one time with Mrs. Brown and with me. And so these are here as inspiration. We don't expect you to put in this level of work. But I, in particular, wanted to look at Molly's project. Molly Zhang, this is her proposal from last year. She wanted to focus on health in 53206. And she thinks that fresh produce, because it's a food desert, right? And she's got $4 million that she thinks needs to be spent to build and make sure the prices are reasonable. So she's really thought it through. Evidence of need is here. That's something you need in your project, right? She says there aren't a lot of grocery stores. Historically, there's a lot more junk food, and that leads to lower health. And so what would the impact be? She has described about why having a grocery store with fresh produce would help. And then look at her vision statement. If my project is successful, the area would possibly have more people who would be living healthier and happier lifestyles. So that is her vision statement. So if you go back to the slideshow, that is what we're asking you to do. So Molly would have said, I propose we spend $4 million on fresh produce grocery stores and at reasonable prices in 53206. And it would be that simple.